Solo Leveling Episode 2 ended on a cliffhanger that we should honestly just expect from every anime at this point. Our MC, the adorable E-Class Hunter Jinwoo, gets sacrificed at the altar of God, and considering how he was being set up as a Miwa-type character in Episode 1, we were taken aback. Even his surprising survival instinct was brushed away as a weak man's only true strength type deal by us. But then we saw that player screen pop up and everything we thought we knew about Jinwoo changed forever. Solo leveling has been compared to Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games because of its setting, and that comparison is only about to get deeper, because Episode 3 has finally revealed the true identity of the world's weakest hunter, and turns out he's anything but that. So let's dive into what happened and how it explains Sung's inhuman origins and connection to the very monsters he is trying to eliminate. But before we do that, we have a small request. If you enjoy our content, please give this video a massive thumbs up. Share it with your friends and smash that subscribe button with the notification bell turned to all while you're at it. It helps us create the content that you love and bring in more marvelous viewers like you. And also, this goes without saying, but spoilers ahead for you anime casuals, because this stuff takes some explaining you might not get yet. Who is Jinwoo and why did he become a hunter? In order to understand the true nature of Jinwoo's current existence, we need to talk about where he comes from and why he does what he does. The anime has done a great job of giving us much-needed context for Sung's actions, considering the manhwa only told us about it instead of showing us at this point in the story. Approximately 10 years ago, mysteriously, portals started appearing all over the world, all of which were seemingly connected to a different dimension. Within these portals existed fantastical dungeons teeming with rare resources, as well as magical beasts, who, if not defeated quickly, would then spill over into the human world and cause mayhem and destruction. Now, if that was it, we'd call solo leveling a dystopia. But this merging of worlds gave humanity a way to strike back by creating individuals who could channel mana, aka magical energy, through their bodies. These people radiate mana energy near constantly, and the ones who are efficient at using it to fight monsters within the dungeons are the people who become hunters. This is because only magic and mana weapons can affect the dungeon monsters. Human weapons are ineffective on them. Jinwoo was one such person, but he didn't become a hunter because of his skill. He became a hunter out of necessity. A long time ago, his dad disappeared off the face of the earth, and a few years back, his mom fell into a coma-like state called the eternal slumber. We'll talk about his dad in another video, but let's focus on his mom's illness. It's a rare condition that occurs in humans that live in close proximity to those with awakened manas. And so, unbeknownst to him at the time, Jinwoo ended up contributing to his mother's ill health. Though he was but an E-rank hunter, the weakest of the lot at that, his body's energy contributed to his mother's coma, and with his father gone, it was now the sole bread earner of the family. Jinwoo clears dungeons because he has mouths to feed, not because he's a skilled hunter. But saying that he clears dungeons is a massive stretch, because as you know by now, he's called the world's weakest hunter. It takes all of Jinwoo's strength and might for him to survive even E-class dungeons. He has been near fatally wounded multiple times, was once left stranded and starving in a low-level dungeon, and has only survived up until the beginning of the series thanks to healers like Ju-hee. He barely has any money to buy equipment for himself that actually works, as most of his cash goes towards supporting his sister's education and his mom's medical bills. Jinwoo knew that he was too weak to tackle a D-rank dungeon without Ju-hee, and still he voted to go into the double dungeon because he thought he needed to do it for his family. What happened next was nothing short of a nightmare, as a majority of Jinwoo's party are wiped out by the double dungeon's boss and its minions. But there was a silver lining in amongst all this. Jinwoo, despite being the lowest of the low when it came to hunters, had a keen survival instinct. He had been able to live so far because he knew what it took to live and could recognize danger almost instinctively. His intuition is what helped the survivors of the double dungeon incident make it out alive. In exchange, he was trashed around like a football by the hulking monsters of the dungeon and finally sacrificed at the altar of God, as the conditions required him to be. At the moment of his death, however, a screen flashed up in front of him which informed him that he had been chosen as a player and that he could survive if he accepted his quest. In Episode 3, we find out that he did accept, and it ended up changing him forever. Because as of this moment, Jinwoo is no longer human. He is something much more. Has Jinwoo had a reawakening? What is he becoming? When Jinwoo wakes up in a hospital, he is shocked to discover not only had he survived, but his severed leg had been healed as well. He thought he must be dreaming because he couldn't exactly remember how he got there, and the events of the double dungeon incident didn't leave every other participant severely traumatized. It would make sense to think Jinwoo was having some sort of episode only. He was visited by Woo Jin-chul, a member of the Korean Hunter Association, for an evaluation shortly after he woke up, so he knew this was definitely not a dream. What really gave away that something strange was afoot, however, was the massive game screen that seemed to always hover in front of Jinwoo's face. No one but Jinwoo could see it, and this is where the truth of his new existence begins to reveal itself. When the Hunter Association heard that a double dungeon had appeared in a D-rank dungeon and that an E-ranker like Jinwoo was responsible for helping its participants survive, they sent out Jin-chul to see whether Sung had a reawakening or not. The way mana works in solo leveling is quite similar to cursed energy from Jujutsu Kaisen, but its application is more akin to a cursed technique. When the magic portals connecting the human world to the chaos world started to emerge, select individuals unlocked the ability to use the magic of the chaos world by manipulating mana, as we've already told you. What we didn't tell you was that once you've been given a certain amount of mana, no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to increase your output of the same. This is where it becomes more like a cursed technique because in Jujutsu Kaisen, cursed techniques are carved onto the brains of an individual and are usually inherited through bloodline ties. If you do not have a significant bloodline, chances are you won't develop a cursed technique like Miwa. In solo leveling, once you've awakened mana and are classified as an E rank, that's it for you. Unless you have a rich sponsor, you have no chance of going on higher ranked missions because you're a liability. Mana rankings cannot be changed through training, so you're pretty much doomed to be a low ranker for life if you have low mana reserves unless you go through a reawakening. The conditions for a reawakening are varied. No one can accurately pinpoint what causes a reawakening, but it's more than likely that immense stress and near-death experiences are involved. This is probably why Jin-chul suspected Jinwoo of being reawakened, considering the horrifying accounts the survivors had relayed to him. Think of it like post-mortem Nen from Hunter x Hunter. When a hunter dies, if they have cast any Nen abilities in that moment, those abilities will become far stronger than before because post-mortem Nen makes it so. Hisoka exploited this fact to boost his own Nen powers after dying at Chrollo's hands during their much-awaited face-off, and can now reconstruct entire limbs with his Nen ability, something he couldn't do so efficiently before. In solo leveling, a reawakening can take an E ranker up to a C rank or even a B rank, and in rare cases, they can also become an S rank, but Jin-chul's mana detector clearly classified Jinwoo as still being E rank at the start of the episode, which means he has not reawakened. Calling him trash was a bit too much, but the fact remains the same. So how exactly does all this reveal his true identity to us? It's the thing that others cannot see, that game screen we mentioned earlier. Sung Jinwoo died within the double dungeon, which itself is located in another dimension called the Chaos World. He then came back to the human world healed and arguably better than before, with no memory of what happened at the moment of his death and a mystery quest log running in front of his eyes. That quest log is what makes Jinwoo inhuman. Like we told you guys, you can't level up your rank without having a reawakening, and yet Jinwoo went on a training spree in episode 3 in an effort to max out his stats. Sans centipede punishment notwithstanding, he's acting as a player within a system that was created in another dimension. And the reason this system even exists in the first place is to turn its players into the vessel for a creature from that dimension. One of the biggest concerns humanity has when it comes to dungeons is a dungeon break. If a dungeon isn't contained within a week, its contents spill over into the human world, and hunters are forced to fight on human soil, risking several lives. Moreover, if the broken dungeon is of a high rank, the chances of survival for all parties involved drastically decreases. Isn't it convenient that Jinwoo can suddenly go on a solo leveling spree with no consequences? Well, the consequence is what makes Jinwoo an inhuman. The system isn't training Jinwoo to help him become better, it's training him to catch up to the power level of another entity. Why is it doing so? So that this entity can later go on to take over Jinwoo's body and invade the human world with it. The moment Jinwoo accepted the system's offer of revival, his body became linked to a monarch from the Chaos World, more specifically, the Shadow Monarch Ashborn. Each level he gains puts him one step closer to Ashborn's own power, and once Jinwoo reaches that point, he will become a monarch himself. Considering the monarchs are the otherworldly beings of pure chaos and destruction, Jinwoo will cease to be human when the merging occurs, and his original personality will be replaced by Ashborn's. If Ashborn were to enter the human world in Jinwoo's body, he could easily blend into society and create the perfect conditions for Earth's destruction. But as you will see down the line, that won't turn out to be the case. Solo leveling's story is more complex than evil gods making helpless humans do their ugly bidding, and Jinwoo's story is proof of that. Still, it does not change the fact that Sung Jinwoo is no longer entirely human. His body is intrinsically linked to an all-powerful entity from another dimension, and once he reaches a level sufficient enough for sync, he will cease to be human completely. Marvelous verdict. Even though Jinwoo would no longer be human, there is no reason to worry about his moral alignment, because as you guys will see, Ashborn isn't exactly like the rest of his monarchical brethren. And we know there are things we haven't fully addressed in this video yet, but that's where we're waiting for you guys' response. What did you think of this video? Do you want more properly researched and accurately interpreted solo leveling content in your feed? Then make sure you're subscribed to Marvelous Anime and your notifications are turned to all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and we will see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep leveling up.